Lawsuits seem to be flying around the craft beer industry. Where there's money, there's greed. Last week, we talked about one brewery and their greed. This week, we're talking about a conglomerate of breweries and their greed. This is Hopped Up. What's going on, everybody? Josh here. Another episode of That's Hopped Up. I have a can of Nitro Good Humans. This is a nitro dry hopped double brown ale from Short's Brewing Company out of Elk Rapids, Michigan. There's no ABV on the can, and I didn't look it up, but this is a delicious brown ale. I love brown ales with a little twist, and this has one, and it's nitro, and we are going to pour it in here, and then we're going to talk about the beer news this week. I love nitro beers. I just love that cascading effect of the beer in the glass. Short's can art is just on point sometimes. I can't get enough of it. I love it. And let's check out the cascading effect on this beer. Look at it. Look at that foam, as we call it, or the beer, whatever it is. It's just the darkness is rising towards the top. The creamy foam head looks delicious. Delicious. I love this beer. I don't think I've ever done a review on it. This comes in the Short's Holiday 18 pack. If you ever see it, pick it up because there's some really delicious beers in there. IPAs, New England IPAs, this double dry hopped brown. I can't even think of what else there is. Some kind of curling beer. I don't know, but let's get into the news. So creamy. Now I have paper because there's so much information in this whole thing that it's just... It blew my mind, and I actually learned a lot from this thing. Hopefully you learned something from it. Hopefully you stick around for all of it, because it is a doozy. Artisanal Brewing Company, or ABV for short. Someone in marketing is lamely clever for that one. But ABV is facing a class and collective action. Now, the collective action allows several people to come together for a class action lawsuit. ABV consists of 6 main breweries, kind of. Southern Tier Brewing Company, Southern Tier Distilling, 6 Point Brewery, Victory Brewing, and Bold Rock Cider. A former employee states that she and other tipped workers were not properly paid for all hours worked. Now, this is a 27-page lawsuit against Craft Revolution LLC that does business as ABV. This is a real headache because we're talking about Artisanal Brewing Ventures, short for ABV, and now this class action lawsuit, collective action, is against Craft Revolution LLC, doing business as ABV. So doing business as, or DBA for short, is a term to indicate that a business is conducted and presented under a name other than the legal name of the legal person or persons who own it and are responsible for it. It is an official fictitious name, assumed name, or trade name that allows businesses to create an alternate name for customers to recognize, because they couldn't recognize Craft Revolution LLC. Seems shady. So, in Halfassbeerreview terms, this allows businesses to hide behind a fake name. That's what we're going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So Craft Revolution LLC, DBA, doing business as ABV, is going under the gun for breaking 3 major laws, labor laws. Number 1 is improperly applying a tip credit against tipped employees' pay. Number 2 is requiring employees to perform unpaid off-the-clock work. And number 3 is requiring tipped employees to perform numerous non-tipped duties. Now, I've never been in the service industry. It's just not someplace that I think I could thrive because people are rude to people in the service industry, and I don't like that. So number 1, let's talk about the first one. Improperly applying a tipped credit against tip employees. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what a tip credit is and how did they improperly apply it. Now, legally, when you hear what a tipped credit is, you think, oh, I can see why a business does that. Morally, you think, why does a business do that? And why is this even an actual law? A tip credit is a legal way for employees to count an employee's tips towards the employer's obligation to pay minimum wage. So you, as a customer, when you tip that employee, guess what? It's helping the business. It's not necessarily helping the employee. It's helping the business make that minimum wage payment. You're subsidizing that business's ability to pay for its employee. This blew my mind. I had no idea that we were doing that. I had no idea. I just thought, hey, this person makes a minimum wage. I knew like bartenders and waiters made a lower minimum wage than, say, a McDonald's worker, because McDonald's workers weren't making tips and these people were. I knew that, all right? But I didn't realize that our tips went towards helping the restaurant pay that minimum wage, or brewery, or whatever, tap room, however you want to call it. I didn't realize we were subsidizing that business. We were helping that business pay for the employee. I thought we were just helping the employee out. I have a set percent that I tip, and it's a good percent, and anything extra that you do after that, or if you like blew my mind, you're getting more. That's just how I feel about it. Everyone deserves a certain percent, a good one, and after that, you get extra, right? And I knew back in the day, people would be like, oh, bad service, no tip. And I'm like, dang, dude, this person's only making $3 an hour. And you just did that because they only refilled your Coke 4 times? That you're going to have a problem with a waiter because they only refilled your Coke 4 times and you wanted a 5th one? Hey, take it easy on the Coke. Nothing against people that drink Coke or want refills. I understand. You want certain service, okay? How was it improperly applied? Now, how was this tip credit improperly applied? A tip credit wage statement is a written or electronic statement that an employer is required to provide a tip credit employee that shows the effective hourly tip rate of pay derived from employer paid cash wages, plus all reported tips for tip credit hours worked each work week of the pay period. AVB never notified the employees of the details and just paid them a sub-minimum wage knowing they were tipped employees. This is where they broke that law, or allegedly broke that law. So this is basically saying, like when I'm reading this, is tipped jobs are basically commission-based jobs. Hey, we're going to give you this much, but if you make more than that, we don't have to give that to you because you're already making it from the customers. Again, this is a mind-blowing thing that I never knew. I thought they just get a base no matter what, and every tip was just extra. No, we're paying that company's minimum wage for the employees. Man, that was hard to get out. And I always thought that reporting tips was just a tax thing or for work groups that want to pool their tips together. I never realized that it was something to help the business. I thought it was just, again, all helping the employees. I thought that's what it was. So what this tip credit law is basically doing is creating a breeding ground for shady activity, right? So now employees aren't going to want to say, hey, this is what I got tipped tonight, because that means there's less that they're going to get from the company as pay, as a base pay. And also, this is going to push the company to be like, oh, well, if they're making this much here, we can have them do other things and we get more work from them that we don't have to pay because the customer's paying it. They're capitalizing on this law, which we're in a capitalistic society, right? This is capitalism and we're trying to win. Moving on, number 2, okay. Requiring employees to perform unpaid off-the-clock work. Anyone who has ever worked a job in their life knows that business owners are notorious for these things. I think it's even to the point where it's ingrained in our DNA to feel bad for the employer and let these things slide or rationalize doing them. You think, oh, well, how is this going to help me? So say you come in an extra 20 minutes every day, 5 days a week, just to make your day better. You're benefiting that company. You're giving them an hour and 20 minutes of your time for free, just so things run smoothly for them. Yes, it's running smoothly for you, but it's ultimately benefiting them and it's hurting you in the long run, because now what else can they get you to do for free? This is apparent in a lot of cases, in a lot of areas of work. Number 1 is hospitals. Hospitals are notorious for leveraging the well-being of their patients against their employees. Why would you strike? What's going to happen to the employees? We need to take care of the employees. How much money do you want? They are overworked. They are stressed out on a daily basis. There's not enough employees in hospitals, and it's just affecting all of the workers, and all the people at top making these decisions are benefiting from it. They're the ones making the money. They keep making more money. They are golfing at 10 a.m. on the weekdays. It's sad. Number 2 is salary employees. Oh my goodness. I lived my life as a salaried employee for a little bit, and it was not great. Sure, 1 week you might work 4 days and get paid for 40 hours. But then the days where you're working 10-hour days, 7 days a week, you're thinking to yourself, why did I even sign up for this? This is awful. You're always on the clock. Hey, it's Saturday. You get a phone call from your boss. Hey, it's Saturday. I know you're at home, but how about you hop on your computer and you finish this task for me? Yes, we're taking advantage of you because you're a salaried employee and you should feel thankful that you're getting the same pay no matter what. Ugh. Pisses me off. And another is the service industry, clearly from this article. The former employees stated that they were required to work off the clock. They would start their shift 15 minutes before the tap room opened and stay 30 to 90 minutes after the last customer left, depending on the work that was left to do. Now, they also stated that their supervisor would automatically clock them out so that management could perform their end-of-night accounting, even though there was still work to do after that occurred, and they were never made up for that. They were never made whole from that. So now basically you're stealing from your employees. All of this has to do with bad leadership. You're creating a bad work environment, so people don't want to be there. Let's get out as fast as we can because we don't like this place. So it's with the supervisor, and now it's with the people below them, their employees. The supervisor thinks, oh, if I do this now, we get out sooner. Everyone's happy. Well, these employees aren't because they're not making money for the work that they're doing. And the third and final labor law that's being broken is requiring tip employees to perform numerous non-tipped duties. Now, at the beginning, before I even got into this whole mess, I was thinking, okay, it makes sense that bartenders and servers have to do some of this washing stuff, right? But then at the same time, if they're doing that, they're not in their position to where they can be making tips. So that's not fair to that employee, right? And you're paying them a sub-minimum wage to be doing these minimum wage jobs. They're supposed to be making this much money while they're doing these non-tipped jobs, but you have them making this much money while they're doing these non-tipped jobs. And again, the customer is the one that's paying for this. The former employee states that they were required to perform running side work that was unrelated to their tip-generating job duties. Cleaning glassware, stocking bar supplies, changing kegs, and liquor bottles. Claims they were making the sub-minimum wage while doing the tasks. About a third of each shift was spent doing these things. So say you're working 9 hours, 3 hours of it you're supposed to be making, let's just say $10 an hour, but you were really making $5 an hour, $6 an hour for it, and relying on making tips while you were at your tip portion of the job to make up for that. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. This is what really ticks me off. This is where craft beer loses me, and it really sucks. I know things happen to where you want to make money. Maybe you want to get out of the business, or maybe you're getting to that age. Bell's Brewing is a great example for that. They wanted to get out of it. His daughter didn't want to take over the business, so he was forced to sell it. Now, I think this goes for all business, not just craft brewing, but when you get people in there that are owning these businesses that didn't build the business, that didn't work with people on the way to success, they're just living off of the success. They then stop caring about the employees at the lower level, and that's where these things come into play. I don't think it's the supervisor's fault. I'm a firm believer, and I don't think it's supervisor's fault. Supervisors, they're getting paid. They have to do what they're being told to do. It's the people up top that are making these decisions that are making it hard for everybody involved. When these breweries do this, not only does their product usually take a downturn because now we got to do things, we got to find a cheaper way to make the beer. We got to find a cheaper way to distribute the beer. We got to find a cheaper way for labor and all this stuff. Everyone's just affected when these big breweries go big business. I've been a firm believer in this for a long time now. It's just something that's been going on, but I see why it happens. Either you close it down and all your hard work goes away, or you sell it off, make a bunch of money, and go party until you die. Now that's going to do it for this episode of That's Hopped Up here on Half-Assed Beer Review. Thank you all for stopping by and checking out another news story and my breakdown of it. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had a good time. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and leave me a comment. Have you ever worked for the beer industry? Or do you currently work for the beer industry? What's your experience with it? I want to know down in the comments. I know there can be some shady stuff, but I know there's also people that take really good care of their employees, and I want to know all of it. Before you go, check out my friends Banter and Babble for the best pop culture wrap-up every Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, and my friend Drastin the Dungeon Master, 7 o'clock at 7 Dungeons on Twitch every Mondays for the best Dungeons and Dragons around. You will not be disappointed. I'll have the links down there. And always remember to please keep your fridges full and have a great night.